Hello and welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is Todd Corder and, of course, our fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer in wonderful Memphis, Tennessee. You can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, of course, X, and, of course, Apple and Spotify. You can find my personal Twitter at JJGetYouOne, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, and at LG for Real, though, who is calling the Adairsville Tigers football game tonight. Go Tigers. Wayne, how you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing really good. Texas won a couple of useless games in the last week. Memphis beat Florida State, which was not wholly unexpected, and the Falcons upset the Eagles, so that's pretty cool for me. Hey, TC, how about things on your side?
Well, I want to talk about some real Tigers, and that would be the Detroit Tigers for trying to make history. One run for Detroit, 25-10 in their last 35. A team that was 8 games under 500 on August 11th. If they complete this journey and make the playoffs, they will become the second team in history to be 8 games under 500 on the 10th or 11th of August and get in and do what the Mets did in 1973. The Mets won the NL East in 73. And Detroit, this is just an amazing story. I mean, here they traded starting pitcher Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers, got a minor league shortstop named Trey Sweeney, plugged him in after Javier Baez got hurt, and all of a sudden this team is much better. The bullpen has been tremendous. They've been getting timely hitting. I mean, this is really an exciting baseball team to watch. They hustle everything out, and we'll see if they can complete the task. 9 games to go. Dead even with the Twins, 2 behind Kansas City. We'll see how it works out. But what an absolute, an absolute story for the Detroit Tigers to come out of there, come out of nowhere, and possibly get a wild card spot in the American League.
Yeah, unbelievable story and unbelievable turnaround for Parker Meadows and the Detroit Tigers. Young team, very fun to watch, and I hope they get in. I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited for next weekend in the Georgia-Alabama football game with no Nick Saban on the sideline. I'm also excited about all the new conference games that are going on tonight and starting tomorrow, especially with Stanford and Syracuse, a conference game, 2,000 miles away from each other? So it's all starting to get wacky now in college football, folks, but I am doing well. What's on tap for today's show? A talent fee added to your tickets might be sooner than you think for everyone in college football and not just one school. Will the Braves be playing in October? And we will pick our pick six, and we'll do a little Shohei Ohtani because Shohei Ohtani is the hottest thing in baseball right now. But we're going to start out in college football. Tennessee Athletics ticket prices will go up 10% next year. The reason? A talent fee. What are your thoughts on this? Guys, I'll tee this one off. Here's the facts. Tennessee Athletics will start charging a 10% talent fee on each ticket sold, which will go directly to paying the players next season. And this comes as no surprise because of the expected settlement that would allow schools to directly pay players. And it's estimated about $22 million will be needed to pay these players. Estimates say that this 10% tax in Knoxville alone is going to provide about $10 million for NIL and players to be played and all this and that. So it's a new era in college football, and what should I just say, semi-pro football at this point. But go ahead. UT is going to be the trailblazer in this situation, but I guarantee you if they allow this ruling to take place and allow colleges to pay players, which many are expecting will pass, this is just the first of many schools jumping on this board. Todd, your thoughts?
Look, any way how to make money. This is what it's all about. And you know what? The fans will be chipping in. They'll be paying the NIL salaries for these players. at the 10% clip. Second of all, you're going to see companies' names on uniforms. You might see a little logo on a helmet in the back with a sticker. You're going to see companies' names on the stadium, on a field. Any
You already
way
see it.
for these schools to raise money, to make money, so the players can get paid. As long as this television revenue keeps going, this is the route we're going to go in college football. Now, old school people aren't going to like it, but unfortunately, if they want to watch college football, they're going to have to get used to it. They're going to have to come up with other ways of revenue to be able to survive. And this is a genius move by the University of Tennessee. You'll see every school in D1 do it. And JJ, it's only the tip of the iceberg. There are other people out there right now figuring other ways to make a buck.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You already mentioned it. There's already stadium naming deals. The recording artist Pitbull has bought the naming rights for Florida International University Stadium. It's now Pitbull Stadium. He's able to use the stadium for his own personal gain as well, so he can have a concert there randomly. He gets to use the venue. So it's already coming. And the schools that get ahead of this now will be ahead of the curve when this becomes the norm. Wayne, your thoughts on this? This is pretty interesting, and it's kind of right up your alley.
Yeah, well, I don't mind if they charged, extra for talent, if that's what it's going to be for. But does that mean schools like Florida State and Florida are going to have to give out coupons instead of charging extra? It's a talent coupon, 10% off.
Coupon day, 10% off your ticket. The talent fee goes to the school. That's funny. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming down the pipe, and it's coming fast and furious. You're going to see more and more stadiums sell their names for naming rights. You're going to, as Todd mentioned it, logos on helmets, on jerseys, on the field. It's all coming. It's all coming down the pipeline. Guys, any final thoughts on this before we head out? So,
all right,
we'll go from the NCAA to Major League Baseball. It's in a pennant race, getting down to the nitty-gritty. 9 games left for most teams. Will the Braves make the playoffs? Trailing the Mets and the D-backs by 2 games. Todd, I'll throw the ball to you, man. Which say you? Yes or no, and explain why.
I have no clue. You just mentioned it. 2 games behind, 9 to play. All these games are critical. Everyone points to the series against the Mets. That'll decide it. Look, any one of these 9 games will equally decide. The bottom line is Atlanta's going to have to play better baseball than the Mets in the 9 games or the D-backs, or they're not going to be in. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. You just really don't know. Atlanta's bat's going to come alive like it did against Cincinnati? Are they going to be able to consistently hit the baseball? Because that's been their bugaboo. The pitching has been good. Chris Dale's probably going to win the Cy Young. So it isn't the pitching, it's the bat. And they got to get it going because they're starting to run out of time. There's 9 games left. See how it turns out.
And 9 games left, 3 versus Miami, in which they're down 3-0 in probably around the 2nd inning right now. So not looking good in Miami right now, but 3 versus Miami, 3 versus the Mets. That'll be the most important series of the season. And they finish at home versus a Royals team that's fighting for a playoff spot against those pesky Tigers as well. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards the no side. I am. I don't think the bats are there. I think they don't score enough runs. The pitching is there. And I will say this on the flip side to piggyback on what if. The fact is the Braves do have the 2nd best pitching staff in baseball. They have the 4th most quality starts in baseball with over 70. So if they get in, they have the pitching to do it. And we all know in postseason that's the biggest bugaboo is do you have the pitching? And I think the Braves do have the pitching to make a deep postseason run. But I think the only thing that's going to prevent them from getting there is the fact that they won't be in the playoffs. So I am leaning more towards the fact that they will not make the playoffs. Ozzie Albies is back. He is in the lineup tonight, making his comeback First time on the roster since July 21st after breaking his wrist, applying a tag. Look, I just don't see it lining up, folks. D-backs and Mets are playing better baseball. They're scoring more runs. And the Braves they just seem to be snake bit by injuries. Every time someone turns around, they're getting injured and someone's missing some time for some reason. So I'm gonna lean towards the no side to answer the question. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, especially with the start like they have right now as we're recording this, down 3-0 in Miami in a very key series. Wayne, you have any thoughts on the Braves making the playoffs?
Well, let me ask you a technical question. Do you consider the first wild card game to be playoffs?
Absolutely, they're all are.
All right.
They're
Well,
all
then yes,
playoffs.
they will. Then they will make the playoffs, but I think that's going to be the only game they're going to play in.
We'll play the best out of 3. So
Well, still, it's not going to go any farther than that if they get in.
Wayne's saying they get in and get the out real quickly as they have the last 2 seasons. So we'll see with that. Todd, your thoughts on that?
I hate to play Atlanta in a short series because the shorter the series with their pitching, the better chance you have to getting upset. But bringing back Osby Helbies is going to help. But the only thing is he's only supposedly going to hit from the right side, and that's not his best side. But getting him his veteran presence in the lineup may help. I mean, the Braves they've had a lot of injuries this year. Unfortunately, it's part of the game, and it's the way the ball bounces. And we'll see if Atlanta gets in the final 3 games against Kansas City. Look, the Royals will be fighting for their playoff lives. That will be an interesting 3-game series, no question about it. I mean, this is a tough road to hoe because they're going to play the Mets 3 times. They'll play Kansas City 3 times, and they'll play a Miami team 3 times, and they have nothing like better to spoil Atlanta's chances for the playoffs because they're not going. So teams that usually you play that are not your favorite to beat, they play easy, free, carefree baseball, and they're the ones that will come up and knock you out. You won't make it.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Todd. We talked about that off air, how these teams that are eliminated from postseason play are trying to make an impact on next year's roster. They're trying to put that last recency bias performance, if they have a good performance, well, hey, you know what? That guy ended the year pretty good. Let's put him in the lineup. So you have guys playing for a lot for next year, for roster spots next year. You have young guys that are trying to make their name known so they get a spring training call up for other teams. So, yeah, it's really interesting. And I'd love to see the record, but you and I talked about that. I think the record for teams that don't make the postseason, that play spoiler in the last game, in the last series of the year, I bet their record's a little bit above 500 because the Braves did it to your Tigers in 17.
Yeah,
it was down to one last game, and Verlander versus, I believe it was a young Max Fried, and it was a one hitter, and it was just an incredible ball game and playoff like atmosphere, and the Braves sent the Tigers home that day. So I don't know what it is, but there's something about those series, and the Marlins are trying to do that to the Braves as we speak. So going from subpar performances of the Marlins and teams playing spoiler to arguably one of the greatest performances in Major League Baseball history. Shohei Ohtani's stat line from last night was absolutely ridiculous. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 10 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, and he becomes the first ever 50-50 player in Major League Baseball history. Was this the single greatest stat line in a Major League Baseball game ever? I'm going to say no. I'm going to go out and say a bold no. And I say it's the best defensive, I'd say it's the best DH performance ever. No doubt about it. Maybe the best hitting performance ever. No doubt about it. But I think there's a game that he played last year against the White Sox that I thought he played a better game because he struck out 10 batters, only allowed 1 run over 6 1/3 innings. He went 3 for 4 at the plate with 2 dingers. And I think that's a better game because he played both sides of the ball. So personally, it's an opinion question. Do you think, are you an offensive guy and he just whacked the ball, 10 RBIs, killed the Marlins, blah, 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 or are you an all-around guy? That's what I am. All-around performances, to me, make it seem a little bit better. And there's been lots of great performances in Major League Baseball history, Todd, as you know. The Dodgers, Shawn Green, he went 6 for 6 in 2002 with 4 home runs and had 19 total bases, which is still a Major League Baseball record for most total bases in the game. So personally, I think that was a little bit better of a game in terms of total bases and how you see it, but he didn't have the stolen bases and he didn't have the RBIs to go with it. So it's really an objective question here, but I'm going to go out and say a bold no because he was just the DH. If he would have done that and pitched, now I would say it's the single greatest performance of all time. Todd, what say you? Is that the single greatest performance in baseball history?
I mean, think about it. He was a beautiful relay pro from getting the cycle. And he was out at third base by a whisker. If he would have had a cycle added onto that, holy smokes. And the fact that his last 3 at-bats, he hit home runs, and the last 2 at-bats were in the 7th and 9th inning. And let's see, he becomes the first player to go 50 and 50, and he ends up 51 and 51. He had how many stolen bases? 2. He scored how many runs? 4. 6 for 6. 10 RBIs. Man, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but that's about as good as it gets. I remember Mark Whitten he became the 12th player in '93 in Major League History, 4 home runs in a game, and tied the single game RBI record with 12. I remember Rick Wise years ago, where had 2 home runs and pitched a 1 hitter. So that was another great performance. Sometimes we become prisoner of the moment. Jim Abbott, Flint, Michigan native from our hometown, threw a no-hitter in Yankee Stadium. Oh, by the way, he only has 1 hand. So it's all subjective. Gary Anderson had a 10 RBI game for the Yankees in '07, had 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and a grand slam. Adam Kennedy had 3 home runs in Game 5 of the 2002 ACLS. Reggie Jackson had a great game in Game 6 of the '77 World Series. I mean, there's, Don Larson, the perfect game in the '56 World Series.
Yeah, there's plenty. I want to piggyback on another one. We got to remember, Kerry Wood threw 20 strikeouts in a game. That could be argued, but and he had the bat. And he had the bat that week. So I think those performances definitely argue. And again, it's recency bias. You can definitely argue that, Todd. But I'm going to go out and say no, just because he only had to concentrate on hitting.
Yeah, Bob Costas came on MLB Network today, and I happened to catch it on my way to somewhere. And, I really respect his opinion a lot in baseball, and he said yes, even though he said the last guy he hit the home run off of was a position player, but crushed that ball in the third deck. How many people are doing that in right field in that ballpark in Miami? I mean, this is right up there. The historians are telling you it is, and I almost have to go with it in a lot of games. Does anyone know how hard it is to be a DH? Just sit there and you're not playing in the field, but you're sitting there waiting for your turn at bat. A lot of designated hitters will go down and take extra swings down in the tunnel.
That's exactly why I say no, because as a DH, you can go get batting tee work. When a pitcher comes in, you can get on the iPad. You get on the iPad. You can load his stats up, and you can adjust the pitching machine to how the pitcher pitches. You can do so much as a DH during the game to get reps in and stay warm and stay in the moment. That's why I say no. That's exactly why I say no. If you would have done this while pitching, yeah, I'd say absolutely. But I mean, it's a great performance. And again, the last one, as you say, you hate position players pitching. That's one of the reasons why I don't know if that stat should count, but it does because that's baseball. But it's crazy. So, no, I'm right there with you, Todd. It's definitely one of the greatest performances of all time, but I can't say it's the best.
It's so hard to DH. A lot of guys can't do it. They just can't do it because if everybody can do it, or had the opportunity to do it when they could do it, they absolutely can do it. But a lot of guys can't. They just it's really hard to DH.
Well, there's only one DH. There's only one DH on the team, and there's 25 other positions. So I don't think it's hard. I mean, so many people have transitioned to DH. Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz, they all transition to DH and they become great, even better hitters. So I disagree with that statement wholeheartedly. I mean, respectfully disagree, but I get your point. But I think transitioning to the DH and saying, you know what, I don't have to worry about defense. I don't have to go practice defense. I can just simply go hit and hit and hit and hit and hit and get better and better and better.
A lot of guys out there
I don't see that. I like the point. It was a good point.
They failed. A lot of guys have failed the DH. Most of them failed. They just cannot do it. There are some guys that transition that do it well, but a lot of guys need to play the field to be successful and bat. I think it's a hard thing to do. Remember, Ohtani's never really been a full-time DH throughout his career because he's pitched a lot and he's played.
He has. That's all he's been. So when he's not pitching, he's not in the field.
Interesting question. But
he only pitches once a week.
I don't know if you.
He's a DH the rest of the week. No, he only pitches once a week and then he's done. He's just like, so he is a DH other than a pitcher.
He played first base for the Angels. Yes, he did.
I think he did for a little bit, but they shut that down pretty quickly when they realized how good of a pitcher he was.
Right, but he's played the field before. I mean, he has played They even talked about putting him into the outfield eventually. He's such a great athlete.
We'll see. Well, either way, we both agree. We all agree it was a hell of a performance. I say it's not the best performance of all time. Todd is on the fence. Let's get to the pick six. We got to get a short and sweet show. Last week, Wayne went 3-3. Larry went 3-3. Todd went 2-4, and I went 2-4, which brings our record to Larry in first place at 16-8 overall. Wayne is in second at 15-9. Todd is dead even 500 at 12-12, and I am coming in the rear at 10-14, hoping for a wonderful week this week. And without further ado, we got 4 college football games, all the ranked matchups, and 2 NFL games, and it's our pick six. It's the first game in a new conference is the theme of this pick six. And again, we use Wednesday spreads from ESPNBet.com. Let's kick this thing off. Number 24, the Fighting Illini, 3-0, travel to Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers and the number 22 team in the nation. Both teams are 3-0. Nebraska's 7.5-point home favorites. Over-under, and that one's 42.5. And, folks, it will kick off right after we get done airing on this show. So it will count for the pick six, but you will get the information afterwards, so bear with us. But I think Nebraska enters this game 3-0 for the first time since 2016. While the Fighting Illini enter the game 3-0 for the first time since 2011. So both teams are in rare air in terms of the last decade plus. This will be the first ranked matchup at Memorial Stadium in over a decade, which is just mind-blowing because of how good Nebraska has been my whole entire lifetime. This game is, again, Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Todd, what you got?
I think Nebraska's going to cover it. 400 consecutive sellout. Fans have been waiting forever for the Cornhuskers to be a really good team. Illinois, we're not sure how good they are yet. The impressive start, 3-0 team, but give me the Huskers at home.
Nebraska at home for Todd. Larry, what you got?
How about Wayne? What you got?
Yeah, Larry's not here.
Yeah. Wayne, what you got? Excuse me, I was looking at Larry's.
I'm picking Nebraska to cover this one.
All right. So Larry is also taking Nebraska to cover. This guy, not so fast. Let me tell you why Illinois is going to either cover, and I think they'll flat out win the ball game. Look, I already mentioned both teams are coming in hot. Illinois had a pretty good quarterback, too. We're all talking about Dylan Raiola, transferred, didn't go to Georgia. Matt Rule pulled him away. Luke Altmaier's pretty good. He's come in and just thrown for, 54 of 78 for 648 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a big goose egg, taking care of the football extremely well in the INT department. I think Brett Bielema protects his quarterback really well. I think Dylan Raiola makes a freshman mistake and turns the ball over at a costly point in this ball game. And I think Illinois comes away with the victory. Remember, folks, Illinois hosted Kansas 2 weeks ago, was a heavy home underdog, and won the game outright against a team that many thought Kansas would be a dark horse in the Big 12. So Illinois has been tested. Nebraska has not been tested near as much. They did play Colorado, but I don't see Colorado as much of a threat in the Big 12.
Hey,
so
JJ,
I am taking Illinois.
AJ, can I say something regarding this matchup? You know, something to watch. The Illinois receivers versus the Nebraska corners, Pat Bryan and the Franklin kids are big play threats for the Illini, and they'll definitely have a good challenge with Tommy Hill and Marcus Buford Jr. You know, this is a really good matchup. The Illini do have 10 pass plays of at least 20 yards, and Nebraska's going to be committed to stopping that run because that's the bread and butter for this current Illinois team. So watch for the play action, but Nebraska's corners are really good, and their front four can get to the quarterback, and they got the Sanders in the Colorado game. And I like I said earlier,
everybody gets the Sanders in the Colorado game, Todd. Everybody gets to Sanders in the Colorado game, Todd.
Yeah, but he's going to lose the quarterback. I know the offensive line is not really good, and it's not.
Their offensive line is terrible. That's why I don't consider them a real threat. I see the Fighting Illini as playing a tougher schedule this far, and I'm going with them. I'm taking the points. Let's move on to our second game. Number 11, USC, 2-0, travels to the Big House and takes on the Michigan Wolverines, who are 2-1. USC's 5-point road favorites. Over-under in this one's 44.5. It's 3:30 p.m. on CBS. Weird seeing that one on CBS, let me tell you. But we'll go with Todd on this one. Todd, what say you?
Well, I like USC on the road. Michigan was not impressive against Texas when they got blown out at home. USC's defense is much better this year. We saw that against LSU. I like their quarterback, Moss. He's a really good one. Michigan's having problems at the quarterback position. Orgy's going to start for Michigan. He does have some legs. He is a dual threat quarterback. He struggled in the spring game for Michigan. This USC team can run, and they can stop the run. And I like USC, and I like them to cover. You mentioned earlier about Illinois playing the tougher schedule. Kansas is 1-2. They lost to UNLV. I think the schedules are a wash. But I like USC with this one, and Michigan goes to 2-2 on the young season. They struggled last week against Arkansas State.
Wayne, what say you, my friend?
I'm taking Big Blue and the Big House for the big win.
Ooh.
The upset.
The Michigan as the home dog. You're taking Michigan in the points.
Yeah.
I like a home underdog, but I couldn't pull the trigger against Texas, and I won't pull it against Southern Cal. Southern Cal looked really good against LSU. I think LSU's a pretty good football team as well. Larry is with you, Wayne. He is taking Michigan in the points at the Big House. Not this guy. I'm taking USC to cover. I think Miller Moss is a pretty good quarterback. I do think the fact that USC is coming off a bye week helps because they're traveling a lot this year. USC will travel over 16,000 miles for Big Ten play alone. Again, Moss has done a great job this year taking care of the football, over 72% on the completion percentage. 607 yards, only 2 TDs, but he's averaged about 300 yards passing per game, which is top 10 in the nation for his first 2 games. And again, Michigan is expected to start a new quarterback in Alex Orji. He's only attempted 6 passes, but 2 of his completions have gone for touchdowns. But I do think USC's defense continues the turnaround from last season and comes away with a solid 10-point road win for their first ever Big Ten Conference win on the road.
Big Ten Conference game, JJ. Yeah, their first Big Ten Conference game. And you know what's really a shame that Davis Warren, who won the job, he struggled with the opportunity. He had cancer, JJ. He's from Los Angeles. It would have been a really neat story had he played well at the first part of the year to get his chance to play against his hometown team. And who knows, if Orji struggles, he may come in a backup role and do well. That's the amazing thing about sports. Expect the unexpected.
Yep, keep on keeping on. Our third game of the day, the new conference, new foe. Utah is now in the Big 12, folks. They're 3-0 and number 12 in the country. He traveled to Stillwater, Oklahoma, and take on Mike Gundy and his Oklahoma State Cowboys, ranked 14th in the country. They're 3-0 as well. Utah is a 2-point road favorite. Over-under on this one's 54.5, 4 o'clock p.m. on Fox. Oklahoma State running back Ollie Gordon has gotten off to a slow start. Just 216 yards on 62 carries. It's a little over 3 yards per pop. I think Gundy gets his workhorse going. It opens up the play action for Alan Bowman. Bowman's been pretty good in his first 3 games, coming off 2 performances in which he's thrown for over 325 yards. So I like the Gundy. I like the mullet. And again, I love a home underdog. So give me the Oklahoma State Cowboys and those points. Wayne, what say you?
Spread, JJ? What's that spread?
Spread is Utah -2. Remember, we go from Wednesday's spreads.
Right, -2. I like the Utes. They stopped
Wayne,
the ball.
what say you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma. I'm taking Oklahoma in the points.
Oklahoma State in the points.
Oklahoma State.
You're taking the home dog as well.
Yep.
Let's see. Larry is also going OK State in the points. And Todd, go ahead.
Going the opposite of all 3. I like Utah. I like Cam Rising. I know he's been injured. He missed the game last week. He threw 5 touchdowns in the opener. 25-year-old's got a lot of experience in college football. Thank you somewhat to COVID. Thank you to the injuries he's had. But Utah does 2 things well. They stop the run. They run the football. They get after the quarterback. This is a veteran-laden team. I think the winner of this game wins the Big 12, and I'm taking Utah.
Utah. Larry's taking OK State in the points as well. I don't know if I said that. I wanted to hammer that one home. The 4th and final college football game we are picking this weekend is number 6 Tennessee. And the 3-0 Volunteers travel to Norman, Oklahoma to take on the number 15 Sooners, also at 3-0. Tennessee, 7-point road favorite. Over-under on this one's 57 and a hook. 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night on ABC. Oklahoma struggled versus a weak Houston team, winning 16-12. Oklahoma's quarterback Jackson Arnold threw a pick 6 versus Tulane, which got them back in it late in the game. This is a really, really tough game. UT's head coach, Josh Heupel, played for the Sooners, won their national championship, was the offensive coordinator under Bob Stoops and Brent Venable, who is now the head coach there, who's the DC there. And he got let go in 2014 and was not happy about it. And he laid out his dirty laundry for everybody to hear. And he hadn't been back to Norman since. And I think he holds a chip on his shoulder from getting let go from Bob Stoops. And I think the Tennessee Volunteers take it to the Oklahoma Sooners and say, you're not in the SEC until you get your first victory, buddy. And we just took it from you. Give me the Volunteers big in Norman. The Sooner schooner falls over pregame and all hell breaks loose after that. Wayne, what you got?
Well, I am not taking the home underdog in this one. I'm taking Tennessee to cover on this one.
Larry, Larry's going with Tennessee as well. TC, what you got?
You know what? That line is a lot. Uh, we know that Oklahoma struggled this season, but everybody's told them, wait till you play in the SEC. Wait till you see what it's like. You won't be able to dominate like you did in the Big 12. This and that. You mentioned Josh Heupel, and as you say, or aired his dirty laundry. I really think he hasn't shown that he's bitter about it. He's shown that
Oh,
he's
he did 10 years ago when he was let go. Absolutely, he did.
right, but that was 10 years ago. He hasn't done it.
And he has been bitter ever since.
But you know
He's
what?
got 10 years of frustration coming into Norman.
But time heals a lot. It is his alma mater. I mean, it really does heal a lot. I think it'll have zero impact on the game. I do like Tennessee to win this game. I do like them to cover. The Vols haven't allowed an offensive touchdown in 16 quarters. That would be 4 games in the last 4 games. The third longest streak in school history, or actually the longest streak since going 18 consecutive quarters in 65 and 66. Tennessee's second nationally, holding opponents to 160.7 yards a game. Oklahoma, which averages about a middling 4.34 yards per carry. So, yeah, but you know what? Nico's coming in a real hostile environment on the road. And I mean, Oklahoma's got a back named Taylor Tatum. This true freshman is one of the nation's top recruits, and you can see why. He scored twice last week against Tulane. He can catch it and run it. This is, his game is going to be really key for Oklahoma. I think Tennessee's going to win it. What did you say the spread was? 7.5?
-7. You said Tennessee covers. Are you changing or not?
Yeah, I did. I said, yeah, I apologize. I was getting to it. I'm sorry. I think 7. Give me Oklahoma at home. Boomer Sooner. Tennessee wins. But this is a big-time environment to play in, and Oklahoma's got something to prove. Everybody says they can't win. Well, when they say that, that's usually when
So
a team
you're taking the home underdog. I like. He's taking the home underdog. He's changed his pick. What do you know? Number 5. Our 5th game of the night is the Texans 2-0 travels to Minnesota to take on the 2-0 Vikings. Houston, again, a 2-point road favorite. Over under in this one's 46.5. Sunday, 1 p.m. on CBS. I am going easy. I hate taking against a home dog, but I just think I've seen enough Sam Darnold in my life to think he'll make a mistake or two, and I'm going with C.J. Stroud and the Texans. They got a pretty good wide receiver core with Stephon Diggs. I like C.J. Stroud. I think he's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold will be, and I got to go with the road favorite. Unfortunately, I love taking a home dog, but I got to go with the Texans. Texans cover. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I think I'm going to take the Vikings on this one. Another home dog pick.
I like the home dogs. You know that. If you've watched me before, that's what I love a home dog. You just play better when people tell you can't win. Larry's taking the home dog as well, the Vikings and the points. Todd, what say you?
I'm taking Minnesota. I'm taking home in the points. I win either way here. If the Vikings lose, I lose our contest. I don't care. That helps my line. If I pick Minnesota, I win either way. So I do like the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, he was limited in practice this week, but he's training to play for Sunday. Jefferson on Thursday. He'll play for sure. He's an extreme handful. Joe Mixon is doubtful for the Texans. That'll hurt the running game somewhat. Minnesota's got a ton of weapons on offense. Sam Darnold, I know he didn't win the quarterback job in San Francisco last year, but he's getting a new lease on life again. Every time he gets one, he seems to play well. I watched him 2 years ago beat the Lions and ruin their playoffs in Carolina. I like the Vikings to win this one. They can run it, throw it, and their defense, they have a variety of characters that can get to the quarterback. I like Minnesota.
All right, sixth and final game, Sunday Night Football. Chiefs 2-0 come in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and take on the 1-1 Falcons. KC's a 3.5-point road favorite. Over under 46.5 Sunday night, again, 8:20 p.m. on NBC/Peacock. The roof will be open, which is pretty interesting. They never opened the roof in Atlanta, folks. The Chiefs own a 73 series record. They own a 73 record in the series, I should say. The Chiefs will be without running back Isaiah Pacheco. Expect Carson Steele and Samaje Perine to take the load of snaps at running back in his absence. They did sign Kareem Hunt to their practice squad. We'll see if he makes an appearance Sunday. Chiefs D is next to last in the NFL and giving up over 256 yards per game. Give me the home underdog and the points, baby. I got to do it. I don't like the hook. I think the Chiefs win, but I think it's a last-second field goal by Harrison Butker, and that would get the Falcons and my pick correct. So I'm going with the home dog here. Falcons and the points. Wayne, why are you taking the Falcons?
Well, I'm taking the Falcons because of that last run that Falcons made in that game against Philadelphia. And it showed me that what the Falcons offense needs to do is stop thinking about it and just advance the ball. Because when they were under that high-pressure situation, everything seemed to click much better.
Yeah, Wayne, you're exactly right. In a 2-minute offense, you don't have time to think. You just got to play. Matt Ryan says it a lot. He goes, the best time I ever played was in the 2-minute drill because I knew the offense, we shortened the playbook, and I can just play. So you're 100% right, Wayne. Kirk drove down the field in dramatic fashion, and really the Eagles gifted the Falcons that one, but that's a story for a different day. But the Falcons took advantage, and you gotta give them props, and they can hang their hat on a pretty good early season win. Larry's taking the home underdog as well in the points. Todd, I'm sure you're going with your don't bet against Mahomes on this pick six here.
Hands up, as their play-by-play announcer would say. What do I say? What is the guy?
Yeah, I've already said it for you. You don't have to say it again. You've already said it.
Herm Edwards says, "Don't press send," and I say, "Don't bet against Patrick Mahomes." The Chiefs will find a way. Buckner will kick a field goal. They'll win the game, but they'll win by more than 3.5. I say they win by 4. Should be a really exciting game. Atlanta's really ran the ball well. We'll see if the Chiefs can slow down Bijan Robinson and Algier, which is really quite a tandem for Atlanta. But I'm thinking the Chiefs front seven's due to play well, and this will be the game. They always find a way to win. That's what Mahomes does. He's just this generation's Brady.
Guys, that concludes our show. I'm going to get to our final thought. Let's quickly wrap this up. The NFL has a scoring problem. The NFL is averaging only 21.4 points per game, which is the 5th year in a row the game has seen a regression in points per game to start the year. It's the lowest mark since 2006, and it's very eye-opening. There's many reasons why. Passing is down nearly 50 yards per game per NBCnews.com. Why? I think it has a lot to do with the way players practice prior to the season starting. That includes not playing in the preseason games, not padding up in the offseason near as much, not going in with mandatory mini camps. A lot of players are missing it, doing their own thing, and I think that all comes back to when the start of the season. It's just stale. And you see it all over the NFL. Penalties are up in college football. Scoring's down in the NFL. And it's just, again, I just attribute it to bad habits in the offseason. I don't think coaches preach the hardcore football, and I call it callousing your body, getting used to the hits, getting used to the contact. Some people think it's because of the too high safeties and the athleticism on defense, how defensive
I agree with that part.
teams has got hidden their coverage very well, and I think it's very interesting. Each way you see it, there is a good reason as to why scoring is down. But again, Mina Kimes had a great tweet. Mel Kiper said the same thing. They attributed the too high safety look, which was run 60% of the time by NFL defenses in week one, where 5 years ago in week one of the NFL, that number was 38%. So a really big, significant increase in the too high safety and the quarterback scramble. And a lot of people think that's why scoring's down. That's my final thought, guys.
You know what, JJ? Here's the thing. It's smart for them to play the too high safety, forces teams to run the ball more, cuts down on the big plays. People like Mel Kiper say they should outlaw it, which is absolutely ridiculous. Figure it out. Everybody wants to always favor the offense.
I'm not agreeing. I'm just simply saying the scoring's down. This wasn't a discussion or a debate.
I know you're not. We had this conversation off the air, and that's cool. But I think it's ludicrous that Mel Kiper would say that, because you know what? That's football. That's strategy. Find a way to beat it, in my opinion. I'm glad you brought that up.
Wayne, what's your final thought?
Well, we got game Memphis playing the Midshipmen up in Annapolis this Saturday at 2 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, and that'll be the first conference game for Memphis this year.
You know what, Wayne? I think your boys are going to get in the playoff. I think they're the group of 5 team that gets in. I know the Florida State win was supposed to be a big one. Obviously, it's not. But if Memphis runs the table, I do believe they'll be in.
Wayne, thank you for your final thought. Todd, do you have one, or are you just going to piggyback off us?
I'm piggybacking off you, and I have my own final thought. Thank you, sir. Bob Costas said on MLB Network today, the Major League Baseball format. I'm going to ask your opinion, JJ. I agree it should change. They should go to 3 division winners. They all get by. The one wild card team will wait to play wild card 2 winner versus wild card 3 winner. Then that wild card winner, the winner of the wild card round between 1, 2, and 3 will play the division winner with the best record, and then 2 division teams will meet. All these wild card games would be single elimination, and this would cause the division series, instead of waiting 8 days to play baseball, you would play on a Thursday. The wild card round would start the day after the regular season. They're all single games, like I said, and the divisional round is the best of 7. That way, it's no foolproof. No, it's not foolproof, but there's a greater chance with this format that you're going to get the absolute best teams going deeper in the playoffs. And the Braves have been snake bitten by this format, along with not playing very well. Obviously, they didn't deserve it. The Phillies outplayed them. They were the better team the last 2 years. But I do believe that this format needs to change, and that's how I would do it. And sit here and go through and give the teams that are wild cards right now with the current format, they have just as much advantage, or even a better advantage, than the team that won the division and has to sit and wait all game. For the teams that get in the wild card, they get to play immediately. And as you know, baseball players are the creature habit. They want to continue to play day in and day out. They don't want to take a lot of time off. This eliminates that. And potentially, it's not foolproof, but potentially you'll see the better teams moving down the road further in the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that, JJ?
And long-winded answer, I like it, but I think baseball's not moving because they found a way to have parity within the chaos of the no salary cap. So I don't think it's changing. They're making too much money. In theory, it sounds great, and I would love to see that, but it's not happening. The way the parity is in Major League Baseball right now is more exciting than it's ever been, and they're not going to change that. Baseball wanted parity. The way they got it was get more teams in the playoffs, period.
Yep.
But again,
Money.
this is the
You're right.
discussion for another day. We are running out of time here on ATL Prime Sports. Real quick, you have 10 seconds, Todd. Please, let's finish your thought.
No, I was going to say follow the money. That's it. There's no way they're going to eliminate that. More games, more money.
Yep, more games, more money. So they're going to stick with it. And honestly, the parity of the league is really exciting, as I mentioned. And they haven't had this parity ever in Major League Baseball. The payroll discrepancy between the top and the bottom has really, really thrown things for a wrench. And the better team always found a way to win. Whereas now, boy, you don't see the best team winning necessarily year in and year out. Well, folks, that wraps us up for Wayne in Memphis, Todd in Woodstock, Larry in Adairsville. I'm JJ here in Lilburn, Georgia. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please give us a like, a thumbs up, and a subscribe on YouTube. You can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports, and we'll see you next week. Enjoy the college football.
Tigers.
Get you one.
Detroit Tigers. Go Detroit Tigers.